What's up, everybody? You're live at the Project. Another great episode as we wrap up WWE Draft Night 3. It's technically ending on May 8th, but depending on how everything go at this pay-per-view at Backlash this weekend, I probably won't be watching May 8th. So we're going to cover everything and make sense of this mess that WWE has caused for themselves by, I don't even know what they're doing. NXT champions got drafted. People are all over the place. It's a safe bet. They don't even know what the hell they're doing. So we're going to try to make sense of all of that. Me and a panel of guests host we'll have tonight. Thank you. I just want to thank everybody, man. My analytics are up like 2,000%. I cannot believe this. We took off so much. It was a bit of a slow start when we came over here in October, I believe, of 20, or was it 21? Maybe 21. In October 21, when we created this new channel after the first one got taken down for some nonsense. It was a bit of a slow start. Now we really found our niche, just being consistent, giving people what they want, just focusing on what my fans want, what people want to hear, unlike what WWE does. But yeah, we know how to kick it. We know how to serve the people over here, and we're gonna get into a lot of that. Let me just run this intro real quick, man. I'll be right back in just a second. Invite your fans, get something to drink, get some food, get some laughs ready. We're coming right back. So before my guest hosts get up in here, man, welcome to the show, everybody. Hand claps, air horns, all that good stuff. Man, WWE is in some trouble right now. Omari's coming in as we speak. We're going to start this off hot. We're going to get right into it. It's so many unanswered questions right now. What's going to go on with WWE, NXT, and other things? Omari, what's causing all of this, man? What is really causing all this? What's up, brother? Man of the hour, man. The smartest young kid I've ever met. You muted yourself, brother.
What's up, bro?
What's up, man? What's going on, brother? What's causing all this, man? What's going on, man? A lot of going on in WWE right now, and a lot of it's bad. You know what I mean? The draft yesterday was arguably probably worse than night one. All righty, I think we're back. Everybody's up here. Omari, come back in if you're back up in here. Something was wrong with the thing. It shut down. But as we were speaking, I was asking Omari about what he was thinking about the draft. It went out for just a second. One of them just messaged me. Everything good, bro. Yeah, I'm back now, Omari. I'm going to send you this demo to come back to the thing. Here it is right here. But yeah, back to the topic at hand. We had a bit of a technical snafu, but we're back in the studio. Let me make sure I'm even on here right now. If I can hear myself, give me 1 second, y'all, because we are having technical difficulties when we first. Yes, I'm back up here. I just heard myself. So yeah, man, WWE is in a hell of a lot of trouble right now. The roster is a goddamn mess. People are all over the place. It seems like it's a bit of uncertainty with the NXT roster. But before we really interrupted, Omari, man, I was actually before the something happened with StreamYard, but we back up in here now. What are your initial reactions? Because I think night 2 was fucking worse than night 1. From what I read, I'm not interested in almost none of these people, with the exception of a couple hands that came from NXT yesterday. I was like, this looked like crap. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna go tag this up on Twitter so people can see it. What's up, man? Welcome to the show. Mari's up in here with us, man. The man of the hour. What's up, Omar?
Nothing much. Nothing much. I'm just chilling. Getting ready, be on the shank for a little bit and call it a night. So I gotta be up in the morning.
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna get you started you off hot, man. What's going on?
Nothing much. I really if you've been looking at my tweets, I really haven't been talking too much about wrestling. I've been talking more about gaming, and the typical politics stuff like that. So I kind of haven't really been, and plus I've been at work, so I really don't.
Do you think NXT is coming to an end? That was the main thing I want to focus. Do you think NXT? Because it seems like after tonight, the NXT might be done. I think there might be an endeavor call. Do you think it'd be a good idea for NXT to go away at this point?
Yes, I do. I think it should have stayed on a network. I think it should have been like OVW from the start to begin with. Triple H, his ego got too big, and he had to turn it into the Indie All-Star League. He had to turn it into ROH. And he lost focus of what NXT was supposed to be, and it was supposed to be, getting the next generation of stars ready, for the WWE, because at the time, they were still reliant, at the time, the Cenas and the Ortons, the Batistas and all those guys of the world, that was from the Ruthless Aggression era were still the top guys, so they needed new stars, and that's why NXT was created. But once Dusty died, Triple H, his ego, it got too big. He thought he can, compete, with the main roster, and that's when you got all these indie guys like Adam Cole and all of them coming in, and that's completely, damaged. In my opinion, it's messed up WWE's future to the point where they had to bring in 2.0. With the guys like Braun, Cora, and all those guys, and it seems like they're getting back on track. I think they should just go back to. I think that OVW back in the day, in my opinion, was the best developmental system that the WWE ever had, because you didn't see the OVW, you didn't see OVW on TV. If that makes any sense, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't see them on TV. You saw maybe if you lived in Kentucky, you'll go see them at the shows. But other than that, they were not on TV.
Right.
And that OVW4 was able to become bigger stars. Yeah, it was the characters, but someone like Brock Lesnar wasn't on TV. That's why how he debuted in 2002 took people by surprise.
And to piggyback off what you said, the main benefit of having them in not being on TV is you don't have to see them making mistakes, because in the times we live in now, you can make one mistake and it could determine how people think about you. First impressions is everything, because people have a shorter attention span. They have a million things to do. It's a million channels. They got a million apps. You only have 1 second for them to see a bad punch, or you standing outside the ring waiting for somebody to dive, or somebody botching on the mic, and they're going to check out. They're going to I'm done with this. And that's why I like the older model of even not only just OVW, which at one point was the main developmental for WWE. They had Deep South, Mid South, all the IWC Midwest, all these places where they developed talent. But the problem with those developments were they had too many similar thinking people. We had a lot of these Southern people who weren't Jerry Lawler, because Jerry Lawler and Bill Watts are two of the most smart, best, profitable Southern promoters. Most promoters, the Southern promoters, just like the Southern United States, they generally don't have a lot of money. They tend to be a little more ignorant and not very educated. So if you worked out, you either started your career in the Southern territories, minus Bill Watts and Lawler, or you ended your career. Nobody went there to make money because there was no money to be made. It was a seasoning territory. It's always been that way. Mid-South and all that, because Lawler was the biggest star out of Mid-South, and he purposely made it that way. And I know I just said Lawler was good, but when I mean Lawler was good, I mean from a booking standpoint, he was good. Now, if you want to make money, actual money as a star in the South, you went to Bill Watts Mid-South. That's where you went. It was just that simple. Everybody else had this mark mentality, and it still is kind of infesting the roster now. William Regal and Triple H and all. Road Dogg, he's from the South. Bullet Bob Armstrong was Road Dogg's father. He was in the Alabama territory. So they got that they messed up the early days of TNA when it was TNA Impact in 2003 when Jeff Jarrett was champion every other week, and they had all these old beer belly dudes before Impact became Impact that we know it now with AJ Styles and all those guys, the frontline dudes. But
yeah, man,
this is what they don't understand. Like, bro, you cannot have a bunch of marks as and the crazy part about it is a lot of the coaches be people that hasn't done anything in the wrestling business. How they gonna teach people how to be charismatic when they weren't? Like, you weren't charismatic during your own wrestling days. How the hell are you going to teach somebody else to be charismatic? And that's the issue right now with wrestling. And it's been Mark's tagged me all day, and I was waiting to go on the podcast because I didn't want to waste good content typing them stuff because I was just promoting when I was on there. But they trying to sit here and convince me, for example, that AEW sold out all these Wembley Stadium tickets. No, they didn't. I already talked to my sources. They did not sell out that goddamn arena. But we're going to get to that when we get into the news portion of the show. But Omari, man, I agree with you. They need to go back to the days when we didn't see the wrestlers on TV. NXT could be completely untelevised in the PC, and when guys are ready, send them up to the main roster, like Gabe Stevenson. He's sitting there tweeting out, I'm ready to get on show. Dude, you're still boring. You haven't developed you're just an Olympian guy. You're another guy. You're another Dan Severn or, any other guy that came in, what was that guy that they had at ECW they thought was going to be Sylvester Turkey or whatever his name. Like, bro, you're not special. Like, it's not time. You need to be seasoned first. So that's what's going on with all this stuff right now. And I'll put these people on the thumbnail with these folks. So go ahead. What you want to say there?
Well, the problem is that when AEW came in 2019, Triple H thought they tried to do the whole Monday Night Wars again, and it did it, and it fell right faces. Right.
And what you mean Monday Night War with what roster? Who are you talking about?
No, they try to redo the Monday Night Wars with the Wednesday Night Wars. AEW.
Oh, with the NXT and all that. Yeah. That was never going to work. And it wasn't going to work for the main fact none of them are stars. People don't know who none of those people are. And it don't help that Tony Khan has absolutely no idea to make stars. He has no interest nor idea how to make people stars. He just don't care. He's made it pretty clear that that's why he got Collision and all these lame ass shows. I heard AEW Dark Elevation finally ended. It shouldn't have been on. It shouldn't even been production. Shouldn't even be wasted on something like that. How many shows do you need? And OSJ is joining us right now. OSJ, man, what's up, Jason? Yep, he's trying to bleed in. I think he's trying to get his mic or something on. What's up, Jason? Can you hear us?
Hold on.
Yeah, he's trying to get himself together. We got the crew here. Maybe JoJo might join us. What's up, OSJ? Oh no, you're all good, man. As long as people can hear you. What's going on, man?
Hey, yo.
Omar was just doing the cold opener to the show. Jason said what's up to everybody. Go ahead.
Can't wait to rant on this whole thing because I saw that Raw roster, man. It's pitiful.
It's god awful. I saw your tweets about that. Go ahead, the floor is yours, brother. What's some of your initial reactions to this shitty roster that you saw here?
Well, I kind of knew that they were going to go this route, by Saturday because I seen I didn't watch the draft show. I mean, I haven't watched WWE Weekly in like 5 years, but I was keeping up with on Twitter and I seen like all these picks that they were making for Raw, and I'm like, it's nothing but work rate, guys.
Right.
Just people who aren't going to move the needle, and I'm like, Triple H has to be booking this.
Absolutely. And the marks online refuse to accept the fact. And while you're saying that, I'm gonna bring the roster up here. I got it loaded up here. They just refuse to accept the fact that in their mind it's all Vince McMahon. That's all. It's full Vince McMahon in their minds. That's what it is. Like they don't want to be. I'm arguing with a couple of them right now throughout the day about this crap, and they just refuse to accept the fact that it's not Vince McMahon running this show. It's Triple H, but they want to be in their own little bubble and all of that. This is the current updated roster. And bro, I know it's an alphabetical order, but if a casual was to look at this roster right now, they'll be perplexed by whoever this boring ball fuck with this suit is. This Adam Pearce dude. Bro, this dude needs to be, I don't know if they want to keep him as a coach for like the developmental people. That's fine as long as I don't have to see him. I'm not saying take his money. I'm not advocating for anybody to be unemployed, but I do not want this dude on TV. He's not charismatic enough to be on television. Bring back Jonathan the Coachman or Teddy Long to be the on-screen personnel, or even Bischoff for that matter. I know Bischoff's a little smarky these days, but I'll take him over Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce has to be the worst GM. And I know, Omari, you kind of came up in this era. This is when you was really first starting to get into wrestling. Do you remember how integral of a part of the show that Jonathan Coachman was, Omari?
Oh yeah, I started watching 07, towards the end of the Roots Aggression era. He was very involved in the show because he had the stuff with Vince, he was like
DX,
DX. Of course before I started watching wrestling, he had the stuff with The Rock where Rock used to embarrass him.
Who and all that, do the Charleston coach, and all that stuff. Y'all remember? He was hilarious. And he played off him well. That very first time they talked when The Rock had the lace SmackDown shirt, when the first time he met him, when he was like, "Who are you? What's your name?" They completely improvised that. That right there shows you that Coach is a trooper. He's always prepared, and he was made to be an adversary for on TV baby faces. He gets it because prior to that, Coach worked for NBC. He was an anchor. He was used to being on television. I think these people that Vince hired, they have broadcasting experience, but they water them down by allowing them to be trained by Michael Cole. Michael Cole can't even manage himself. How is he going to develop other commentators? He can't even do it himself. And that's a large part of all us discuss how that's a bad problem with WWE right now. The commentary's awful. And they think these people, Jason, have you ever seen that clown in AEW with that mask on that they have on that table? Excalibur or whatever his name. Have you seen this guy before?
I've seen like clips of him, and I've seen a little bit of his work on Twitter, but like I think he's a commentator for Marks. Like, for example, he'll call out the moves, he'll say them properly, stuff like that. Like basically a Marks commentator.
Right.
I don't really think he's that good though. I think he's just generic sounding.
I mean, his voice is okay. He sounds like proper on the mic. He articulates himself well. It's just you can't take him serious when he had that cheap ass looking Party City mask. Like, why did they ever think that was now? If they wanted to put him on Dark Elevation, that's fine. Nobody watches that shit anyway. The Marks would have they would have been okay with that. But from what I understand is he was an integral office person for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and the Bucks hired him because the Bucks really cut their teeth in PWG. So there was a loyalty, favoritism hire, basically. Like I said, he doesn't sound horrible. He actually sounds professional. It's just you can't take him serious with that stupid mask on. His mask looked worse than when Sami Zayn was El Generico. And he looked ridiculous as that, but that was supposed to be a joke. Like, it doesn't look right. That's like if you have a company. Let's say you have a Sears or a Target or, a store. Usually your person at the front, your greeter is obviously have great customer service skills. They're generally they look nice. They're put together. Can you imagine a casual person, their first introduction to AEW, and they see this clown with this mask on? And this is something me and Omari was talking about before you joined us, OSJ. And we're talking about how first impressions is everything in a modern, fast-paced world we live in. Because people have very little attention span for a lot of reasons. A lot of it has to do with advancements in technology, and a lot of those things are good. But it's also just people have a million things to do and a million other options. They're not going to sit here and watch this crap that looks choreographed. And they always say, take my wrestling serious, but I can telegraph your spots. My wrestling coach used to always tell me, if your spots are telegraphed, you'll lose every single time. And this is when I was actually amateur wrestling. But this is something that translates to pro wrestling too. And a lot of them are like, I shouldn't see your spots from a mile away. It's worse with the women, but the guys is not that much better. And speaking of which, I'm looking at this first row. Akira Tozawa is fine, but what can you do with him? Then we go to that down to the end. Alexa Bliss is a star. We're going to skip her. She's fine. She's doing good. They need to bring back a moment of bliss and let her dress hot because Alexa Bliss is hot. Just let her do stuff. It doesn't matter. Just she needs to be on TV. Apollo Crews is the perfect guy that relates to what I was just saying with telegraphing spots. And they think this is okay. Like, bro, you went from the regular guy with the spots to Uha. Then you went now, which he is actually Nigerian. But why didn't they debut him that way? This right here is proof pudding because he got rushed up in 2016. I remember they put him on the main roster. He was feuding with Corbin. We knew that wasn't going to go anywhere. So why didn't he come with that Nigerian character out the gate? Why didn't they cultivate that character in NXT? This right here is a prime example how Triple H has no idea how to develop talent. And one guy was saying, oh, don't get rid of NXT. And I was like, bro, who have they developed? Can you answer that question? He couldn't answer the question. His whole thing was, oh, there's Mark stuff and I like it. That's all pretty much I got out of it. I mean, this guy was talking about this maybe a little bit over an hour ago. Go ahead, Omar.
Speaking of that, I got into an argument with this guy like a while back. We was debating about how I said like wrestling doesn't have like any more, and he was debating with guys on YouTube. Essentially, is that NXT really hasn't created any stars.
Nope.
I mean, they'll tell you like the 4 horsewomen or Roman them, but even then, like Roman, Seth, Big E, they're FCW.
Right.
Not NXT. And even then, if you want to be talking about like the last, like what I consider, stars that everyday people know, not just wrestling fans, that was the OVW4.
Batista, Cena, Orton, and Brock Lesnar, right?
Yeah. That's the last developmental that I ever got that got out of the wrestling bubble.
Well, we can make an argument for the Black and Gold NXT, the Velveteen Dream, before we know what happened with him. He's the only one that they actually developed. But he was more of an NIL. And what I mean by NIL, for the people that's confused, NIL is a non-independent wrestler that didn't have any skills before they got to WWE. They didn't have any experience. That's what an NIL. It really stands for name, likeness, and image. But WWE called Next in Arrival or something like that. It's an acronym for something like Next in Line. I'm sorry. It stands for Next in Line. But in a corporate contract world, it means name, image, likeness. Basically, they own your right. Like a 360 deal in music or whatever, which is why you see a lot of people going to, I want to own my masters. It just gives you more freedom. Otherwise, the corporation determines what you do. That's the equivalency for sports. 360 still is music and NIL and sports. And WWE is developing that now. Velveteen Dream, you can make an argument for him, but he was an NIL hire. None of these Ring of Honor people that they want. For example, these nerds won't stop talking about why Sami Zayn should be going for the world's title. Why should Sami Zayn be going for the belt? What about this guy screams star at all to justify him going for the title? OFJ, would you put the title on Sami Zayn? And Lance Storm thinks this, bro. Like, bro, you wrestled The Rock. You would think Lance Storm would be kind of smart. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was just saying, no, I wouldn't put the belt on Sami Zayn because, in my opinion, and you could say this about a lot of people, they're not really over. They're just riding off the momentum of a good storyline. Basically, Sami Zayn is a one-hit wonder.
Sure.
I mean, you think he's going to keep this momentum, going into SummerSlam?
Right.
I think he's already lost some of that momentum, if we're being honest.
VHS. Wait, which VHS is this? It's not our friend VHS. Here's all I'm going to say. Dom versus Seth or Cody for the World Heavyweight title. You put the belt on Dom, ride the light. No, that can't be VHS. Not our friend. This is a knockoff VHS. Like you should be called generic DVD. That is not our VHS because our VHS is a hell of a lot smarter than that. No, I totally disagree with whichever generic VHS this is.
That's the WCW version of VHS.
Exactly. That's a dollar store. Hell, that ain't Vic's Shaquille Hop Shaquille. That ain't our friend VHS.
Actually, I was just talking about that when I mentioned somebody who's riding off momentum, who's a one-hit wonder. Yeah. Dominic's another perfect example of that. You think he's a good heel without working with Ray?
No, not at all.
That's why, and that's my point. A lot of these marks online are overrating Dominic already, and that's not good for him.
Sure.
Once he's done feuding with Ray, that's it.
That's like I was tweeting about the filthy animals this week, and all of us kind of chimed in on this. That's like Billy Kidman when he worked with Hogan. He was not ready to work with Hogan. Russo just wanted to develop a new breed, and it was because Russo, he's a great writer, but at times he's too loyal to people that don't deserve, like Jeff Jarrett. I don't know how many times he tried to put the title on Jeff Jarrett, bro. Jeff Jarrett is a great upper mid-card competent guy. Other than that, he has no business with the world title. Mike Graham said it best. He broke 10,000 cigars. 10,000 guitars, but he didn't sell a dime. He didn't draw one dime. I'm sorry, what was that, Omar?
The only memorable thing I always knew from Jeff Jarrett was when he took, the stunner that Stone Cold Steve, the best stunner, like where he Stone Cold stunned him, he had that dance on him.
He did that strut. Yeah, I remember that when Jarrett was just, and that's another thing. Sorry, not to cut you off. Jeff Jarrett used to look ridiculous. Why would you put he had the light up hat and I swear to God, he had an outfit that looked like a kindergartner made. It was like a white overall, but it looked like it was construction paper cuts. And I'm like, what the fuck is this dude wearing? Like, you expect to be world champion with that shit on, dude? So that's another thing. Like, Sami Zayn looks like a bum. He literally looks like a hobo. Like, when you look at the baggy cargo pants and the shirt, it looked like he got that shit out of a dumpster and just a wrestling neckbeard dropped the shit on it. He dropped ketchup on the shirt, so he threw it away. Sami Zayn washed it and put it on. That's essentially what this motherfucker looks like. Like, you can't make money with him.
Yeah. seems like they're trying to make him into like the great value of Mankind.
Sure. But he's not tough. Mankind was actually tough.
Yeah.
You know?
Great value.
Right, exactly. But bro, no, and another thing, like Mankind has psychology. So Sami Zayn wouldn't know what psychology was if you smacked him in the head with a psychology book. He don't know anything about psychology. Kevin Owens is okay, but he doesn't know great psychology. Because if he did, Owens, what you have to understand is you're 270 pounds. Why in the world would you be moving like a cruiserweight? It's cool that you can do it. That don't mean you should. I can smack my head against the wall to try to show I got a hard head. That don't mean I'm going to do it. Like, it's certain stuff that you shouldn't do. That's why 205 Live couldn't take off, because people like Triple H didn't have the discipline to tell people like Kevin Owens, dude, save that for a pay-per-view. Don't do that springboard moonsault every night because it's going to get old. How are you going to justify selling tickets against, let's say you're in a mediocre program with somebody at a B-level pay-per-view? They saw you do this shit on Raw 1,000 times. This is what I mean by the lack of psychology. Psychology just isn't knowing, I know to work with the crowd. No, you have to know when to do things and when not to do things. That's psychology. These wrestlers don't. Kevin Owens is a solid talker. He's a good ROH transplant, but he's not this superstar that you could build a whole brand around. He looks like a fan that won a contest, and he has horrible psychology. You can't do shit with him. You know what I mean? DST, what's up, DST? That's another one of the homies. He come in and say, a la Dante Martin. I think in due time, Dante Martin will be okay as a tag team wrestler. I actually think those kids are actually okay. They just need a little bit of time. It's just too early, you know. But yeah, the guys can't do shit with this dude, with Sami Zayn, or the other guy we were just representing a minute ago. What's that, Omar?
I was saying, speaking of another one-hit wonder, that fans used to go crazy over back in the day was, y'all remember Alex Riley?
Alex Riley actually was pretty good. I didn't mind Alex Riley. It's funny you say that because I was just looking at a video with him like a day or two ago. I actually didn't mind, but I'm surprised that you said fans went crazy because I didn't see that. But it could have been true. I just didn't see it, you know.
What online? I'm talking about like more online, saying he should have got a push. I think he was all right. I just think that like he was only really over because of this, to be honest.
You cut out. You say that what you said again. He was only over for what you literally cut off when you said it.
I'm saying is that like fans like was like. And look, if it's like the Nexus, how people, Jizz or how like the Nexus got booked. I know old school Jason, will agree with this. I know how they, how like people say, well, the Nexus should have won, like they should have got booked better. I'm just saying, like Alex Riley was really only over because of the Miz, and then the Nexus sucked out Wade Barry and a couple other guys.
Well, I would say this about Alex Riley. Alex Riley had a cool theme song. He had an actual sports background. His father was an announcer for football. He played for Boston College. So he had the pedigree. Cool theme song. He had the pedigree. He had the look. He had that douchey face. Miz was a perfect person to put with him. Alex Riley had the most believable comeback, and the Miz deserves a lot of credit. Mizanin is very talented. I love Miz. When he finally snapped after Miz was bullying him, and he threw one of the best punches, and he's a southpaw, so it looks better. He threw one of the best punches I've ever seen him. When he finally decked Miz and he got tired of him, it had a lot of heat. I think you probably should. I think you probably should go back and rewatch it. Maybe at the time you weren't interested or something. You was probably distracted and you didn't really pay fully attention to it. Now, if you watch it again, you'll like it. It just wasn't your thing. But I think you should consider rewatching Omar, because that was the perfect student versus pupil for, especially for a 2010 rivalry, which would a lot of them suck or they were ill thought out. Like Ryback. Ryback is the biggest misfire of the 2010s. I think we can all agree with that. He should have been CM Punk for that title. Yeah. I don't know why he did. He should have been John Cena too, because Cena was a bulletproof by 2012, 2013. Nothing you could have did would have ruined John. Literally nothing. You could have had the Bellas take a dump on him. He would have been fine. This is John Cena we're talking about. So I think that was a large misfire with Ryback. You know what I mean?
They call him Big Mass John for a reason.
Exactly. I mean, he's a clumsy two left foot asshole, but he can work though, and he definitely know how to sell some merchandise. But let's keep it going. Let's kind of run through this roster. You know what? Becky's okay. I just don't think she's somebody that you build a company around. I'm getting a little tired of this big-time Becky, especially considering how deceptive it is with the fact that she doesn't sell out arenas without Roman Reigns. Stop calling her big time. Stop giving people these names that they don't deserve. Becky Lynch is okay. She actually wrestles quite decent. She's botchy with certain people, but she throws a great snap suplex. She's actually not that bad. I just don't think she's somebody you build a division around. Strowman, take out the nipple piercings and the skinny jeans, and we'll talk. He needs to go back to flipping shit over. He's back on Raw, which I think he was best used when he was on Raw. SmackDown, he was just kind of an afterthought. So Raw, he needs to go back to flipping shit over. He needs to either work with a heel Matt Riddle, or he needs to turn heel and work against Riddle. Or say I think that'd be a good program where they kind of Marissa, she loved Becky's cool. I think she just had her run. I think she needs to work the mid card for a while. And as we go further down, don't get me started on Bronson Reed. This right here is why Triple H. That's one reason why Triple H needs to be fired is Bronson Reed. Go ahead, Omari.
I don't like Becky, but like I guess like she has a spot on the roster. I just don't like how they try to make her how they try to make her into.
They think she's Trish Stratus or something. She's not that.
No, like in 2019 and 2020 when they were trying to make her into the female Stone Cold. I did not like that.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry. Go ahead. OSJ. I'm sorry. I mean,
no, I was saying I remember Omari how they were trying to make her into the next Stone Cold. Like she was coming out in the vehicles and all that. And
sure.
The only difference is Austin was just wrecking stuff. Becky was just marking out for her own vehicles and all that. It was cringe.
She shouldn't have been Stone Cold, but she's a good leader. She's like a good alter where she's not the common girl. She's kind of a tomboy. That fits, and she's cute too. That fits her well. Becky Lynch is actually cute. So I think they should have made her more like Lita. And in 2018, she had a great run when she finally got that push at SummerSlam. I think they should have kept her there for a while and let it organic. The problem is they tried to push her a little too fast. But like I said, I don't dislike her. I just don't think she's designed for the spot that they're trying to put her on. This spot is designed. I'm trying to think somebody on Raw. This is like, I get the Charlotte push. But Becky, nah. The rest of the four horsewomen, they were all mid-carders. But I get the Charlotte because at least she's a flair, But this spot is designed for like Mandy Rose or Scarlett or Lacey Evans. You could have put Lacey Evans in this spot. The fact that Marks hate Lacey Evans is proof that she's a draw because they dislike her. That tells you everything you need to know. Just like the Page faction in AEW got heat with the Marks because it's not the story. Storyline that they want. They just want. Okay, I had to reload because I'm looking like it knocked my screen off. Bronson Reed is just one reason why WWE needs to get fired. Why Triple H needs to be fired. Come on, dude. This whole row right here, other than Kathy Kelly, oh my God, Carmella, what have you done to your face? Candice LeRae looks 80 years old. Chad Gable's okay. He's kind of got the goofy shoosh or whatever, but the problem is that only has so much shelf life. You can't really do much with him. Like, he should have stayed in that tag team with Shelton Benjamin. That was the best thing they could have did with Chad Gable. He's like a mid-card tag team type heel. That's kind of what he is. So I think this Shoosh thing got a little bit of shelf life. He's all right. He's okay. But it's not too much you could do with him. My problem is I think they want him to be taken seriously. You just can't. When I say they, I mean Triple H. You just can't take this motherfucker serious, dude. Go ahead.
It seems like from what it seems like, they're trying to make him into like a modern day Kurt Angle because like the whole wrestling background. That's what I take from it.
Yeah, but what people have to understand is Kurt Angle is more than a wrestler. The reason people like Kurt Angle because he was a well-rounded performer. He could be goofy, and then when the bell ring, he beats the piss out of somebody. That's what you need to have. They need to stop. Riddle is the closest thing you'll get to a modern Kurt Angle if they tone down the goofiness, because you could tell Matt Riddle has another gear when he's actually allowed to be serious. But he's the closest thing, and maybe you could say a heavier like Mark Henry doing a Hall of Fame. Everybody else they tried was a flop. You can't do that with anybody else. Now, this woman right here is so hot. Chelsea Green. I love Chelsea Green. The Karen thing is really not her, even though I think she's doing a solid job at it. She just needs to be with Carmella, and they need to be like kind of like bitchy, almost like Kardashians. Like they were built for something like that. But Chelsea Green's definitely hot. Don't even get me started. Dabba-Kato is okay, but he needs to be like he needs a manager. Like when he had that thing with Shane, he should have been like a Raw Underground. You got to limit what he could do because he's such a big guy and he's kind of green. But it's a place on the roster for a guy like that. He just needs a manager. Corey Graves, you and Carmella needs to put y'all real life issues on TV. Like, I don't understand. Like, bro, we know that you cheated on your wife. This is made for WWE storyline. He tried to spin it. And the crazy thing about Corey Graves, he tries to be like this cynical asshole online or sarcastic, but he always put his foot in his mouth and people find dirt on him all the time. Bro, if you're going to be condescending, at least be clever. You're not good at it. He tries to be Bobby Heenan. He's not clever enough. He's all right on commentary, but I think Corey Graves might have a little bit of a run as a heel manager with Carmella. I think he could be with that Chelsea Green Carmella group where he's just kind of a douche, You know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, I cheated on my wife. Like, he needs to be that. It's like they try to make him this wholesome guy, but that's not him. He's an asshole in real life. He just have a douchebag. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Speaking of that, who would you have, like, because I was just watching like a Raw from that era the other day. Who would you have as the and this goes to a question for Jason too. Who would you have as like a modern day K-Fed?
As a modern day who?
K-Fed. You remember when K-Fed?
Oh, Kevin Federline.
Oh, Kevin Federline. Logan Paul. I think Logan Paul's kind of filling that role right now.
Yeah.
Like, they think he's the overserved, celebrity guy. I mean, is that fair to say, Jason?
Yeah.
I would say Logan Paul.
Because, I mean, he was kind of like K-Fed, celebrity. He's a douchebag. But, say what you want about K-Fed, but I think he was kind of charismatic.
He had heat, yeah. And it's funny because I covered that like 2 years ago when I was live streaming old stuff back when Periscope was still up. And K-Fed, and bro, that dude, they got a 3-month storyline out of that. He started booking it around Halloween. They went all the way to New Year's Day with that feud when Cena went against Morrison, and he finally AA'd K-Fed. That was a great storyline because K-Fed fit that. I would say Logan Paul, either him or his brother. One of those two. And I think with the Endeavor merger, they need to make a play for Jake Paul because it's a lot. Y'all think Logan Paul is good. He don't hold a candle to his brother. You talking about somebody that got heat. And one example of this, go back and look when he fought Tyron Woodley. That sit down they had with Ariel Helwani when he was on that being weird and saying sus stuff. And Tyron Woodley wanted to knock his head off. That right there shows you that Jake Paul is a good heel. And I played that on a couple of my podcasts in the past. That thing with Tyron Woodley is the epitome of why Jake Paul is a great heel. He gets how to get under people's skin. And he did that with Tyron Woodley, who's a great fighter himself. It's a lot of stars right here. All three of them, I would say. This dude, I don't get it. He was somewhat intriguing when he didn't speak as Punishment Martinez when he first got to NXT. But it's just like they're trying to make him into a babyface. Well, they tried to make him to a babyface. And he gets too many segments where they expect him to carry it, but he's not that good. He's not a top guy. Like, he's a guy that sit in the background. He just frown. That's what you need to do with him. Now, Dexter Loomis, which is ironic because they have somewhat dark. Both of them have dark characters. Samuel Shaw, who's Dexter Loomis' real name, he's much better as an actor. That's why he pulls it off. He doesn't have to say anything, and he has that's why those House of Horror things they did with him in NXT, that's why they were watchable, because he's a great actor. And Indy Hartwell was like, this guy can act, put me with him. She's smart. It's a large age gap with them, and I think they need to make that at some point into a storyline where he's kind of weird and he stalks younger women, especially with all this R. Kelly stuff. You know how much heat he will get with all this Ron Jeremy, R. Kelly, Weinstein shit. WWE, y'all need to take advantage of controversy and make it satirical. That's what sketch comedy and action shows supposed to do. When did y'all stop doing it? They always had characters like that,
How the WWE version of Epstein Island.
Sure, why not? Where it's based off him, where he's doing weird. Dexter Loomis with the right writing could be what they're trying to do with Bray Wyatt. What y'all have to understand about Bray Wyatt sucks. He's just a mid-carder. He doesn't have the mind for a main eventer. If he did, he wouldn't be constantly having nervous breakdowns all the time. You know why The Undertaker's a legend? In addition to the character being cool and he's the right person for it, he's fucking mentally tough. You know what I mean? This man wrestled with a broken face. He got set on fire and was in an elimination chamber pod for 20 fucking minutes and wrestled. That's why he's so legendary. Not only the character, he's a tough human being. Bray Wyatt is a SJW pussy. You can't do anything with him. I'm sorry, what's that?
Undertaker also wrestled with a broken foot in the Hell in a Cell match.
That's crazy. Which one was that against? Shawn Michaels? I didn't even know he had a broken foot.
Mankind.
Oh my God. Well, he was kind of limping. I thought it was a part of the angle. But holy shit, that's further proof that this guy is tough. Bray Wyatt is a wimp. You can't do shit. Why do you think y'all don't think that was his idea to come out there crying? The only reason that happened because Vince wasn't there. Vince got released like the month before that happened. Vince with an 86, they're like, bro, this is dumb. We're not doing that. Triple H, the problem is Triple H talent like him because he's easier to talk to, and that is an admirable quality to have as a manager. However, you can't be a pushover. You have to know when to tell them no with certain stuff. That would be an example of telling Bray Wyatt no. You cannot go out there and cry and expect people to perceive you as serious. That's dumb. Like, WWE needs a quality control editor. Like, why is this not a job with the 6,000 people y'all hire to work there? Y'all need a fucking editor that looks at lack of logic, lack of continuity. You need somebody to be doing that shit. What's that, Omar?
I said, oh, so now that you brought that up, I got a question for that. Because like now that you brought up like Bray Wyatt and him come out crying and taking being tough, do you think do y'all think that the
You muted yourself, Omar. Okay, somebody must be talking to him. Me and OJ are gonna continue until then we'll jump right back to that when he comes in. I agree with you. What's that? Go ahead, Omar.
Oh, I was gonna say I have to go do something real quick, but so like you know how you was just talking about the Undertaker being tough and Bray Wyatt like him coming out crying and everything.
Sure.
Do you think that the locker room nowadays is more buddy compared to back in the past? Because we really don't hear any stories of like we do every once in a while, but we don't hear like how back in
used to be fights and stuff backstage. You mean
that and how like how like guys like you hear stories all the time about John Cena burying someone or Hulk Hogan burying someone. We don't really nowadays. Like Roman Reigns is the top guy, but we don't really see him. We really don't hear stories about him burying people. Like how
put it like this: it happens. They just are a lot careful with allowing it to leak out. They pay off those dirt sheet guys like Sean Ross Sapp and all of them. It happens because TWRP did a 4chan about this some months back, and a lot of people think the guy that did that because he was obviously he was on an anonymous account. They think it was Ty Dillinger or whatever the fuck his name is in AEW, Spears or something like that. They think it was him. It happens. It's just they're careful with allowing it to leak out. It happens a lot more. You'll be surprised in AEW. A lot of them don't like each other. It's just Tony Khan is like, guys, back, please. He wants to have the perception that they're the SJW company, but they really aren't. It's beef there. It's just they hide it well. But compared to back in the day, of course, it's way less. Like you don't have JBL trying to rape people with loofers in the shower. That's not happening, of course. But yeah, it's still everybody's not hugging and no, that's not happening. It's beef back behind stage. They just cover it well.
Or Randy Orton in people's bags.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's not that crazy. It's not like frat house crazy, but I'm sure, it's catty and stuff like that. Of course it is. Why do you think it was so many fights within a 3-month span in AEW? It was fights like these people are so foolish, and this goes back to even WWE doesn't do this. These people are so foolish. They don't have the intelligence to turn this shit that's actual backstage drama into TV storylines. That's what wrestling is. By definition, it is a soap opera. Why would you not take real life issues and pull it on television and satirize it? This is common goddamn sense. This shows you that everybody that's a manager of all the major wrestling, be it Impact, WWE, or AEW, they're all clueless marks. Every single one of them, from Don Callis to Triple H to Tony Khan, they're all, and I forgot the one that looked like Peter Griffin, that fucking jackass in Impact, the fat dude. I forgot his name. They're all clueless assholes. They don't understand how to make this. Dia Moore, that's his name. Thank you. They don't get it at all. They don't understand. They want to be, we don't want to offend anybody. Wrestling in itself is offensive. I'm offended that you got these smelly neck beards at every show clogging up the toilets. I'm offended by that. That doesn't stop y'all from empowering these assholes. I get sick and tired of them quote tweet me about just dumb stuff that they don't even, you could tell they didn't do any research. They just came in and their goal was to try to make me look dumb, and they didn't even bother to actually research what I tweeted. And they be looking dumb, and all they can do is block me. Yeah, because you didn't know what you were talking about to begin with. So we're offended by the fact that you empower these assholes that don't have nearly half the knowledge the three of us on here have. They think they do, but they don't. What's that, Omar?
Do this a lot. Well, wrestling generally used to do this a lot. I mean, the best example was the Edge, Matt Hardy, and Lita stuff. When Lita cheated on Matt with Edge, they put that on TV.
Yep.
And pretty much, and it could also make a superstar it could take a superstar to the level because that storyline is really what made Edge.
Exactly. He was solidified as a main event after that. Another modern day example why I think they opted out, because this goes back to your question you just asked me about, is today more supportive backstage. John Cena publicly cheated on his wife with Mickie James, and she got heat. The lack of mainstream criticism Cena gets for that really bothers me, because it is no way. Like, how did WWE? Well, it was a different time back then. The fact that Cena does not get dragged for that is crazy, and that shows you that they protect a lot of people backstage. They just didn't let it leak out. But he was married at the time. He was messing with Mickie James. She tweeted about it, and that's what that Piggy James storyline came from. And they sent her to SmackDown because she was on Raw with Cena, because they was on screen for a while insinuating that they was dating each other. They was backstage talking, just like Jeff Hardy and Trish might have been dating. So they put them on camera, but that kind of fizzled out or whatever. The fact that Cena didn't get heat for that is quite baffling. It shows you the control that Vince McMahon has because he did not let that leak out. He publicly cheated on, and Nikki Bella too. He kind of like, he didn't really cheat on her, but he had like side pieces, and he wasn't really clear that he didn't really want to be with her like that. Cena is not this guy that y'all think he is. They just make him corporately like that. But he's a guy. You know what I mean? Go ahead. What you gonna say, Omar?
Oh, well, I was gonna say a couple things, but first, like, damn, my niggas, damn, Cena the pulling.
Cena's a pimp, man. Yeah, and if y'all don't think, bro, love is love, but you know damn well he married that Indian lady for clout. He's trying to break. Y'all have to look at like people think I'm always trying to be cynical. It's just, bro, it's hard to get stuff past me that's not common sense. Cena has been in the Middle East and in Asia for the last like 7 or 8 years. He's trying to open the market to the East with WWE. That's why he learned Mandarin Chinese and all that. What do you think the next step is going to be? They're going to learn the Indian language because Jinder Mahal didn't quite work because Jinder Mahal, he has a presence, but he's not John Cena. If you don't think he married that Indian lady for clout and business reasons, think again. Just ask yourself that. John Cena wouldn't have married that lady any other time. Let's be honest. Say it again.
John Cena can get pretty much any girl he wants.
Of course. He's not going to marry some random Indian chick. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? I mean, I hope it's true, but I'm saying my cynical mind has to be thinking. You know what I mean? I think it's business reasons for that too. Maybe he does love her, but I'm sure business has something to do with it.
Yeah, I think he's always done this when it comes to the top guys because I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Well, to be fair though, to Stone Cold, he was also like the buzz was around him walking out, but he also beat up Deborah.
Yeah, publicly. Jazz even talked about it on the Hannibal podcast, how badly he was beating her. Like, but she kept it under wraps because she didn't want to get heat. But Austin never really got rep. But to me, that's funny because that kind of fit the Stone Cold character. Like, he's supposed to be a redneck. When I think of rednecks, I think of them beating their wives. You know what I mean? So I don't understand why they didn't further put that to make it. But they kind of later on put it on TV when she smacked him with the cookie pan and all of that, which was fucking hilarious, by the way. That was some good TV. Do you remember that, OSJ? I'm eating the cookies, Deborah. I'm eating the cookie, Deborah. That shit was funny as hell. I'm sorry. I mean to cut you off. Go ahead. What'd you say, Jason?
Yeah, no, I remember that. What?
What? Exactly. What? Yeah. What? He said he kept taking the mic from him, like I was saying, and she smacked his ass with the cookie. He was like, Deborah, come back. I'm eating the cookie, Deborah. He sounded like Cookie Monster. I'm eating the cookie. Yeah, they had the storyline where she was a bad cook or whatever. WWE had some wild shit that wasn't supposed to be funny. That was actually funny.
Yo, I'm honestly surprised that, especially in this era where where fans bring up old stuff, especially, and it's crazy that they still hate Hulk Hogan for after
the N-word stuff or whatever.
Yeah, but Stone Cold Steve Austin gets to get a pass for beating up his wife, and not to me. Stone Cold Steve Austin was like Hogan. He also buried people. To
be fair, what I think it was, and I agree with everything you just said, Austin was gone so long that they forgot about it. He hasn't been on TV enough. If Austin was there ever coming back like Hogan, yeah, they would have remembered. It's just Austin was gone so long they don't remember it. That's all. Trust me, they'll find a reason to bear. And Austin's smart. He stay out of shit. He's not online on Twitter. If he's on there, he's promoting his podcast or something he's doing. He ain't on there just talking to people. He's not dumb. He know going down that rabbit hole is going to become with consequences. He's not online that much.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say that to be fair, too. Austin kind of did pay his dues. He did go to jail. Sure. He did serve his time. I mean, it's not like he got away with it scot-free. So, I mean, I wouldn't say Austin gets let off the hook. It's just
that's true.
It was 20 years ago. That's why I don't hold it against him because, he did his time. He paid for it.
I don't care.
He apologized.
Yeah.
Sure.
I can care it's not my business. Yeah, it sucks to be a fight, but I really don't care. It's not my business. I'm just surprised, these SJW fans haven't brought it up, considering they bring everything.
I honestly think they just don't remember it. Like they have goldfish brains. It's no way they remember that. Like that was 20 years ago. They don't remember that. If it would have happened like the last 5 years,
Or they would.
Right, exactly. They probably weren't even born yet. Because keep in mind, Omar, a lot of the SJWs range from your age to about 23. So they weren't even born yet when that happened. They were babies. They were born, but they just too little.
Well, they was like, when Hogan said the N-word, and they bring that up. They be bringing up stuff 40 years ago.
Well, that's because you got to also keep in mind the journalism crowd instigates a lot of that too because they trying to sell downloads. They put it in front of them, and then the fans just add hashtags to it. So Sean Ross Sapp and Dave and Shits and Pants and all those people, they promote that bullshit. That's what the problem is. It's not just the fans. It's put in front of them to promote it. But let's run through this because we got quite a bit of these people to go through. Dana Brooke, I like Dana. I think she's got some type of heat backstage, and she needs to be kind of a diva like that. That's what because they're not going to ever take her serious as a wrestler because she's an NIL talent. She's not from the indies, and so she's going to get heat. You might as well make her a heel. McIntyre, he just get rid of all three of them. Dashwood's great. She's hot and she can work. I don't understand why people don't like Dashwood, but she's great. I like to know, especially when she's with Riddick Moss. That's a Hollywood A-list couple. Two attractive people dating. Like, that needs to be put on TV. Why are they not feuding with these couples with Miz and Maurice and Corey Graves, Carmella? They had a brief feud with Cross and his wife, but that didn't go anywhere. Like, they're a couple. Make that on TV. And they're both can wrestle. They're both very attractive people. Put that shit on TV. Finn Balor without paint, I just don't have any interest. I don't care what you do with him. Judgment Day, Gay Day, it don't matter. He's just not interested anymore. You can't do shit with him without the face paint. This dude, I never saw the big deal. He's just some big hairy dude. They do cartwheels, which is dumb psychology. Like, why do you want to do that? Why aren't you crushing people? So it's just you can't do shit with anybody but Emma in his role. Same thing for these assholes. Other than Indy Hartwell, fire every single one of them. A lot of it applies to this role. They're just not worth having. You can't make any money with them. This is the face you need to be making when you get your ass thrown out of WWE. Why if he... First of all, you have a dumb name. What kind of name is JD McDonald? Are you a lawyer? Why do you have that name? That's another thing we've mentioned in the past. OSJ, what's up with these terrible names WWE give these people, man?
I feel like they just use like a random name generator and they just use whatever sticks. Because I mean, don't get me wrong. I know they gave out bad names back in the WWF days because when Austin was talking about becoming Stone Cold and they would give him all this stuff. Even
Fang McFrost and all this bullshit.
Yeah, even that was better than what they're giving him now.
Right.
Chili McFreeze.
Right. Just crazy stuff. I cannot believe they gave. Thank God for his wife with the coffee analogy or whatever she gave him. Once again, everybody needs to be fine. Well, no, I'll keep these two. Katana Chance is actually pretty good. She's cute. She's a decent tag team wrestler. She's actually her and her partner actually look like a tag team. Her and I call her Mini Ember, but the cuter Ember Moon, Kaden Carter. They're a good tag team. Jinder Mahal is Jinder Mahal. Of course, he has that look. He just needs to be a little more polished in the ring. Same thing, everybody here. I want all of these people gone except her. I don't even bro. Just go back to being a backstage commentator. You suck as the Raw commentator. It's
Kofi.
Come on. What about Kofi?
I think Kofi can stay if he brings back his Jamaican gimmick.
Sure.
Yeah, that was the Kofi I was a fan of.
Absolutely. It's like the third part in a row while I'm just keeping a woman. Liv Morgan, get rid of the rest of them. She's cute. She need a slight character change. She's getting a bit stale, but she's cute though. The rest of these motherfuckers can go.
I don't even know. He already played too many. She did the psychotic character. She had the love storyline with Bobby and Lashley. What is she with Bobby?
I think you can revisit that. I think she needs to be. You know what they can make Liv Morgan? Make her into the card girl. I'm going to go into a couple people that they can make it to card girls, like with the UFC. She's one of the people you can make a card girl, where she just goes out there to shoot T-shirts or go, like if it's like a fight type thing, she can have a match card or whatever. That's what you could do with Liv Morgan. Make her like eye candy because she's definitely gorgeous.
I do give Liv her props, when Medusa, and Lance Tuck, when they were trying to get the Raw Underground Destiny taken off, she was the one standing up to him. So I do give her a little for that.
And she probably got heat with Triple H, and that probably slowed her push down. She's probably supposed to get pushed faster, but it got slowed down because we know Triple Mark punishes people that, who you think he is? I'm going to put him in the spot. He got an ego. He probably buried her for that too. That probably slowed her initial push down. So I'm sure she got punished because of that. Because, everybody wants to listen to a nobody like Medusa who hasn't done shit since WCW.
Yo, the only Medusa did in her career was be paired up with Macho Man when he apparently much the pimp gimmick. If y'all remember,
when he was with Gorgeous George, the girl, and all that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. That's and then she had fake boobs with Sting. That was about it back when she was somewhat fuckable. Matt Riddle and what up, G? Come, just put the do-rag on him, man, and have him come out there and just be Vince again. Just put the do-rag on him, man. Or at the very least, have him just be adversarial to everything Triple H does. Please put Vince back on TV.
Imagine do-rag Vincent today. I think it would work better than it did in 2007.
Yeah, because everybody's so sensitive now. It'd be way more effective now.
Yeah. And plus, Vince, he's a heel, so he's doing the job.
Sure. I don't think they will because of all the stuff that's going on publicly. He'll always be behind the scenes, like making sure the top name people get signed, but I don't think Vince is ever going to be back on TV again, unfortunately. This woman is beautiful. She's another person you can have multi-talent. She can, manage. She could be a card girl. She's beautiful. So it's a lot you can do with her, Go ahead, what you're going to say?
I was gonna say if they do, I heard like rumors. If they heard like back when the TV14 rumors and back in like August when Vince stepped down, they was gonna go for TV14. If that was the only thing I hoped for is Vince, back and he put the whole like what's it called the the woman stuff on TV. Pretty much is I'm gonna be like the Godfather. That's pretty much how I interpreted it. He's the Godfather in real life. He has money. He pays all these hot women.
I think the best thing we're going to get as it relates to edginess with women, the closest thing we're going to get, they're probably going to be like card girls. I think we're not going to get the Brian panties back and the Vince making people bark like dogs. That's not going to come back because they too afraid to get heat, that type of heat. So the closer we're going to get is they might wear slightly skimpier stuff and like have cards and stuff. I don't think we're going to ever get Brian. Unfortunately, I don't think Brian Penny's matches are ever coming back. They're just too scared to get risky like that with women. It's probably not.
It doesn't make sense because OnlyFans is popular. It needs to
right. We're trying to make WWE logical when they aren't, Omari. Like they just don't have brains. Like that's pretty clear when they hire people like Bronson Reed. They're not thinking at all. When they don't have pay-per-views outside, despite having spring and summer themes, them not, paying for actual good music. Like they're doing everything as it relates to business asshole backwards. Like we cannot expect them to be rational. They're following behind Impact and AEW. That tells you everything about how unprofessional and backwards their management is now.
I don't
like they're following what AEW is doing. When AEW is not even known by most casual people.
I don't understand how they be getting this money. I don't understand.
It's just they're these networks because they hire terrible SJW writers. Nobody wants to watch the network, so they're desperate for live sports, which is the only thing that draw any type of interest. Because live sports, at least you could put it at a bar, you could put it at a fitness gym, and people can watch it while they're working out. You don't have to think; it's just on, and you are enjoying it mindlessly. Whereas other stuff, you have to have skillful writers, and we already know these big network companies, the Big Six, they don't hire good writers. So they have to, they're desperate for content. So they have to get whatever they can get now. So they have to overvalue everything they buy because they created their own monster. They did it. Now I'm just looking at this right here. These two dudes, like they're ready to fight. Like they need to have some type of storyline. I want to see lift off competitions, fitness, like Odyssey Jones with a little bit of coaching.
This was like that would be like Mark Henry versus the Bishop. You still there, Jason?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, I guess we can we'll carry it, until he gets back. This roster was bland. Like this honestly might be the worst roster I've ever seen the WWE ever had. Honestly, I know people like to rag on the new generation roster.
I gotta agree. That's what I was saying this morning too. I'm like, not even that was better because at least you had Undertaker, Brett, Shawn, Razor, Owen. The new generation actually wasn't even that bad in my opinion.
I think it was bad in like the early part, like in 93, like in 93, 94, 95, like outside, like, certain stuff, like the two dudes with attitude and the Brett Owen stuff, it was bad. Once you get to 96, that's when it starts to get better. But it really didn't start like business but as a whole, wrestling start picking up again to when the NWO started. That's the NWO, starting is what really put wrestling back on the map in the 90s. And then, of course, we all know what happened after that. Wrestling just exploded in popularity, that we've never seen again. But
yeah, this roster is just terrible, though. Like, man, I'm looking at it, and I was following what was going on with the draft when I was watching Raw 3 last night. And I'm just like, man, they're really going in on all these indie jobbers. I thought they'd kind of try to even it out a little bit, but no, Nothing but charisma vacuums.
I think
I mean,
Raw. Go ahead.
I was gonna say SmackDown destroyed them.
Go ahead. I keep interrupting you. My fault.
No, you're good. I was just saying that SmackDown got the better roster.
They pretty much do. I mean, they got more to entertain people. They got Roman. They got the Knight. They got Grayson Waller. I mean,
Bobby Lashley. Edge. That's what I said. The SmackDown is like, I'm not gonna sit here and say I'll watch it, but I can at least say, okay, this is probably the best looking the SmackDown roster's been. Like maybe 2016, maybe.
Maybe it's just me because I was a kid at the time. I just miss the SmackDown days, the Batista last SmackDown days. I don't know why. Maybe it's just I was a kid, but I just miss the Batista when Batista was the top dog of SmackDown, and then of course the early SmackDown, Attitude Era SmackDown. I just miss that SmackDown more.
Yeah, no, I feel you because I miss SmackDown from that era too. Like, granted, when Batista was on top, I was watching less around that time. Not because it's bad, I thought SmackDown was okay, but it's just I was already in high school by that point, so I'm doing other things on Friday nights. Yeah, I really didn't have the time to, watch it and everything. But when I did, I enjoyed it. I thought Batista was great as the top guy.
Yeah. Oh, you was like more into you watched more Raw back then.
Yeah, well, I mean, I watched SmackDown when I could. It's just like I said, Friday nights. You're in high school, you want to hang with your friends, do other things.
Mm-hmm.
Raw Monday, it's a school night, so you're a little more. You got more time to watch wrestling, and I would watch TNA on Thursday back then.
Yeah, those were days of wrestling right there. Wasn't peak wrestling,
but don't get me wrong, I still liked SmackDown back then. It was still fun whenever I did have the chance to catch it. Man, I would gladly take SmackDown in 06, 07, over what we got now.
100%. I was just watching Malcolm in the Middle yesterday, and it always stuck out to me, the opener, with Brett and Benoit,
Yeah.
and that just proves how hot wrestling was in the late 90s. It just and that's why wrestling fans nowadays don't understand. And I wasn't even alive at that point, but I understand how hot it was during that time. Like the business.
But that's the thing too. You're educated. You know what's up. A lot of these younger, I mean, it's not even just a younger thing. I mean, even the older wrestling fans, sometimes they're kind of annoying. Like, Deluxe Man or Just Alex, whatever you want to call them, or JD from New York. Like, those guys don't know squat. You know more than they do when you're younger.
Yeah, I think besides the 80s, 98 and 99. Well, that's kind of hard because 2000 they were also pretty big in 2000. I think 98 was the biggest because you had peak 98 because you had peak WWE. They was getting back to the mainstream. I mean, you had WCW still mainstream with the NWO stuff and Goldberg and Sting. I think that was the biggest year wrestling had. Like, of course, 2000 was the biggest for WWE, but you talk about as a whole, I don't think nothing beat 98 besides like the 80s. But even then,
I mean, from that time period, like 98 to maybe 02, like, really, you had everybody talking about WWF, what was going on and everything, and that's how hot it was. But I want to point out too, because I got into a little bit of a debate the other day with that Mohammed guy. He was talking about how, WWE's product, or WWF, I should say, at the time, their presentation in 2000 wasn't good and all that because of all this and the radicals. I'm like, you kidding, right? Like, WWF was still hot in 2000. Like, sure, the ratings weren't what they were the year before, but everyone was still talking about the product.
Yeah, sometimes this is what I've talked about it sometimes where I think some people sometimes take the ratings thing too far. It's like ratings doesn't always reflect, somebody talking about it in in the outside world. I mean, like raw ratings were falling, but it was still a pop culture phenomenon. I mean, The Rock was over like Rover during that time.
Exactly, and that's exactly what I told them too. I'm like, the WWF was still the talk of the town. Ratings didn't matter, the ratings were still good enough, in my opinion. And I know because I was a kid at the time, and I know this guy was too. I don't even think he was watching at the time, so I don't know how he can say that. Oh, I'm looking back at it, or not looking back at it, but he made it seem like at the time he was dissatisfied with the product. I'm like, I don't even think you were watching.
I mean, let's put this in perspective. Stone Cold Steve.
I was gonna say when we were kids, we didn't care about any of that stuff. How the structure of the show was, we just were entertained, you know.
Yeah, like I mean, when I was a kid, when I was a kid, growing up in the late Roots Aggression era, PG era, wrestling was on the downswing of popularity. But kids, from what I still talked about with certain wrestlers, and that didn't matter. Similar to the Attitude Era, yeah, the Attitude Era had had its bad moments, but the good outweighed bad. And plus, it was a pop culture phenomenon. I mean, wrestling, you could argue, it was the biggest thing in media at the time. I would, honestly, besides South Park. I mean,
yeah,
like
they were bringing up to the whole thing with the Radicals. I'm like, yeah, you're talking about 3 guys. It's not really that big of a deal, you know. Because they were saying that they took over the mid card. I'm like, not really. I mean, you still had a good mid card in 2000.
I do think around like once you get around, I do think like when Raw moved to TNN, that's when I do think they start to fall in like creatively and popularity wise. Now, granted, they were still good, but I noticed some cracks in the fall. But I feel like once you get to like the part of 2000, they was just coasting in my opinion, especially when they moved to TNN. The biz because like at WrestleMania, it's just hit its apex. We honestly we have certain occasions, and even then, those like on like a week. And even then, that wasn't like a week to week basis. But like, yeah, I mean, he did point though about The Rock being big in 2000. Like, yeah, The Rock was mega. He was huge in 2000. I'll argue he was more over than Austin himself. But I mean, it was more into the show than just The Rock. I mean, you had
exactly. You can't have a knockout for like 2 hours straight. You know, as good as he is.
Yeah.
A lot of people tend to forget that. Other people help make the show. People wanted to see Too Cool. People wanted to see the Hardy Boys. People wanted to see Lita. People wanted to see Rikishi. People wanted to see Kurt Angle. It's a group effort.
Yeah, speaking of Rikishi, isn't it sad that essentially like a group like Too Cool is more over than anything in wrestling today? Specifically, Scotty Too Hotty with the worm. Don't you find that embarrassing?
Not really.
Like, I know the product sucks nowadays, but it's sad that a lower card guy like Scotty Too Hotty had a move called the worm that's pretty much more over than even Roman Reigns nowadays. That's what I keep saying. Like, Roman Reigns is he's a big fish in a small pond. I think you said this before, didn't you? Like how he's only big in the league when he's.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's the truth. He's only big because, like I said, there's really not a whole lot of competition that they got. But anyways, man, my phone's kind of dying out, so I'm gonna head out.
All right, bro, I'm gonna head out too.
Right. Yeah, I guess we'll probably pick this up another time.
Are you free to do a stream tomorrow on my channel?
I am do that. Back. Yeah. What did OSJ? Did he have to leave?
Yeah, he had to leave. I'll stay on for about 15 more minutes, then I got to call.
But okay, that'll work. Actually, soon anyway. What have you been talking about so far? Internet was fucking jacked up. I finally got back here though.
We were talking about like the decline in popularity. How wrestling was just absolutely mega huge in the late 90s.
Yeah. Okay.
And how we never.
You cutting in and out. Is it something going on in the Midwest? What the hell is going on? What you say? We were talking about how you said the lack of decline of quality or something. What were you saying?
Oh, we were talking about like how how sad wrestling has gotten, and we were talking about how absolutely mega huge wrestling was in the late 90s, and how we probably will never ever see it again.
Yeah, that might be true. I have to open up all my apps. Everything closed out, so I got everything back open. I'm not because I had the roster up.
Because I was watching Malcolm, like the theme song of it. Because sometimes I listen to the old theme songs of
Life is unfair. Yeah, that song.
Yeah, you know how in the beginning, like you know how like at the end of the theme song, you have Brett putting Benoit in the sharpshooter. That goes to show you how over wrestling was during the time. Because Malcolm in the Middle was one of the most popular shows back in the 2000s, specifically the early 2000s. And wrestling was, and you had Bret Hart and putting Benoit in a sharpshooter. That just goes how that when people like
wrestling,
people want to talk. Fans nowadays want to talk about wrestling. It's as popular as ever. How? It's not as popular as ever.
They're only talking about what them and their nerdy friends talk about. That's all that's all they're talking about. They're not talking about, nothing that actually have merit and numbers to back it. They're not talking about that. Let's get back to some of this roster, though, because we got a bit sidetracked or whatever. Let's go to who we're looking at. Raw.
We were the popularity and talking about who's ever on this roster, honestly, because
it ain't a whole lot of popular people on here. We went through all these people. We went through Vince. We were right here. We're talking about oldest number. But yeah, this is what point is. We need more big guys in wrestling. Bunch of legends here. Actually, all these people are serviceable.
Because WWE nowadays, wrestling nowadays is very anti-big guy. It's like we went to compare of the 90s, where in the 90s it was pro big guy, and anti-small guy. We have flipped that now for the worst. Because a big guy like a Great Khali will still draw more than a guy like Gargano. It's just fact. Because people want to see a big guy. It's
like women would say, size matters. The women would say size matters.
Yeah, I agree. But you also have a small guy that can draw more than a Great Khali. But
Rey Mysterio,
Rey Mysterio, Shawn Michaels, Bret the Hitman Hart. I mean, you can have.
Well, no, not Bret and Shawn Michaels. They aren't draws. They nice to look at, but they're not draws. Though Rey Mysterio is a legitimate draw. Like that's why the San Diego Padres was just giving him stuff. They were just giving him customizable gloves and gear. They want Rey Mysterio on everything because he's a marketable wrestler. Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart is only known by WWE fans. They're not people that you get. Well, Bret might be a little more known because at least he was on SNL. But Shawn Michaels, no. Shawn Michaels is a WWE guy. That's the only way.
I gotta disagree on that.
He's never been on anything. Shawn Michaels never been on anything outside of WWE. He's never been on anything.
True.
Bret Hart was at least on SNL. He was at least on SNL.
That is true, but Bret Hart, like Shawn Michaels, I do think he has mainstream appeal. He was the leader of BX. I mean, he started the group.
Everybody that used to watch DX stopped watching. So a lot of people don't know who Shawn Michaels is no more.
That is true.
They all watch football and UFC now. Like for example, let's say Ric Flair. Ric Flair is known by everybody. Bret Hart was on Simpsons. Thank you, Victor. Ric Flair, it's locker room warm-ups that say 1, 2, 3. Let's give it a Ric Flair as they get warmed up for a big football game. Ric Flair is culturally relevant. He has a song with Offset called Ric Flair Drip. That tells you everything you need to know. Ain't nobody talking about Shawn Michaels outside of WWE fans. Especially not now because he's a mark. Especially not now. Old Shawn Michaels, the fans stopped watching in like 2004. So they've been gone. They don't remember Shawn Michaels. They stopped. The crazy part is they stopped watching Shawn Michaels before he even peaked. Arguably, his second run was better than his first run, but they were gone by then because they weren't creating more stars. A lot of people were only interested in watching Rock and Austin, so a lot of them even left before he even had this big feud with Triple H and Shawn Michaels towards the end of the 2000, going into the 2010s. They weren't even around for that. Like they might have heard about it on Facebook, but they weren't live watching Raw when it was happening. Like no, Yeah. But you can't do a whole lot with these people that we're looking at right now. R-Truth is obviously the standout in this thing. And the good thing about a guy like R-Truth, he could be a heel or a babyface. You can do a lot with R-Truth. Randy Orton is just like a lot of the mid-2000 kids, the people that's watching now appreciate Randy Orton. He's peaked a long time ago. I haven't had interest in Randy Orton since about 2009. He's kind of just the guy that's kind of been there. I was marginally interested when he joined the Wyatt family, but I had a feeling WWE was going to screw that up, which they did. They rushed it. So Randy Orton he hasn't done a lot in a long time. So I just don't have much interest to him. The other two girls, only time will tell. They definitely are more serviceable than everybody in the Four Horsewomen, though, because at least they're big and they got like an appealing look to them. What's that?
I would say with Randy Orton, I would say like when it comes to like mainstream today, I feel like besides a few others, he's the only one that got honestly, due to the RKO. I don't know what it means.
Right.
I
I mean, outside of people online, like, do Mr. and Mrs. Walmart know that? Like, everyday people don't know really much about Randy Orton. The internet kids know him because they grew up on the internet. Randy Orton obviously is more relevant to Kevin Owens and all of them, but he's not in the same class with The Rock, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker. He's not in the same class with people like that. He's a good mid-card worker, but you can't do nothing with him. He was an okay WWE champion, but Randy Orton is not about to be in Hollywood movies. If you trust me, if they could have put him in Hollywood movies, he would have been there already. He got the looks that everybody liked. Even the gay people will like his look. You know what I mean? Slick body, shaved body and all that. He just don't have what it takes to do it. He would have been there by now. He did 12 rounds or whatever that was, but that was a WWE production. Randy Orton just don't have any mainstream appeal to him.
I feel like if
Riddick looks more mainstream than Randy Orton. Look, I don't know if he can, but
I gotta
disagree.
I disagree on the Magic Moss thing. But outside like the RKO out of nowhere memes, I think the part like what people are known for in the mainstream that he feuded with Cena for so long. I feel like that people know that.
That wasn't mainstream. That feud wasn't mainstream. WWE viewer count was down to about 2 or 3 million around that time. That wasn't a mainstream feud. By then, people had went to football. That was in like 2009. WWE was way more popular then than it is now, but that wasn't a mainstream storyline. WWE had about a fourth of its audience around that time. That wasn't a mainstream story. Because if it was, he would have got movies like Cena, Batista, and The Rock. Randy Orton is just not a mainstream star. He's cool within the WWE world, but he's not. That's why they had to put him in straight to DVD WWE movies. Randy Orton's not that guy. Trust me. He would have been in Hollywood if he was that good. He's just not that good. He's all right, but he's not Batista. Batista was the obvious star that broke out of Evolution. They tried with Randy Orton in 2004, and that's why they took the belt off of him, because the fans didn't receive him the way they wanted him to. That's why they flipped it that's one of the few times that I'm not going to blame Triple H. Randy Orton was not working as a babyface. They tried, but the house show market went down because I looked at the numbers. They tried. It just wasn't working. They really tried with him. It didn't work though. Obviously, Ronda, I'm not the biggest fan of Ronda Rousey, but she's got her appeal. People watch her. It's just I'm not a fan of her, but that don't mean she can't be on TV because I'm not a fan of her. She's obviously a bigger star than most of these women on the show. What were you going to say?
I liked her in the UFC, but that's about it.
Yeah, she was all right. Oh, and Strike Force or whatever. Sangha, he's on my poster, so obviously I like Sangha. Everybody else can go. Not her, excluding her. She's a backstage personnel. Damn near everybody in this row can go except Sonya Deville. Like, why is Stephanie still in the rush? She doesn't even work there right now. Everybody in this row can grow, especially Miz is the only one I'm keeping. Everybody else can go. Like, you won't even notice the difference without these people. Everybody here can go. Even Trish. All of them can go. Except Veer, because he's with the Indy shirt. Everybody else can go. Trish is not going to work. And that neckbeard that tried to argue me online, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. Trish is not going to work in today's times. Trish doesn't look half as appealing as she used to look. And then the storyline is already off to a bad start. I didn't bother to watch her heel turn promo because I already know it's not going to be the same Trish that turned heel on Chris Jericho in 2004. It's not the same. I'm not going to Trish was gone way too long. Trish Stratus messed up not coming back full-time in the 2010s. She's way too irrelevant now for anybody to care. You know how she's irrelevant? Raw is still under 2 million viewers. And they had All right, folks. I'm not sure who's here. We're going to wrap this one up. The internet finally booted back in. Thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Omari. Thank you, Victor, for being here. TJ and Top Jog, Omari are good guys there. No, we're not. Victor, thank you. I think Victor was up in here. This was at 3 minutes ago. I'm back. The internet's acting up on my end. We're going to wrap this one up. We'll either come back tomorrow or Friday. I got to see what the activity is online with wrestling. It's been going in and out. This is like the second time this happened in 30 minutes. So we're going to wrap this one up. Omari had to get down soon anyway because I think he has school tomorrow. So, yeah, we'll stick out tomorrow. We're having issues with keeping this connected. So we'll thank all y'all for being here, man. If anybody that want to keep up with the show, TJ the Project, thank everybody that was here. I'm going to follow up and tag everybody, let everybody know what's going on because they're probably looking like, what the fuck's going on with this? Comments going on, but I appreciate all my fans, all the people that sit through this, good, bad, and different. You agree with me, disagree with me. We always create this content with you in mind. Keep that in mind. God bless y'all families, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. We'll do a follow-up episode, like I said, either tomorrow or Friday. I just got to see how much activity it is with the draft tomorrow. But yeah, y'all stick around. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace.